We've got 6 Rams backups that you need to be watching for in their regular season finale against the Seahawks. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramley, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you haven't yet, do me a huge favor, join the party, subscribe to the fastest growing Rams YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit that like button, and drop some comments down below. Which of the Rams backups could you see having a role and impact for the team during the playoffs? Let me know down below. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. I've been covering LA sports for over a decade, 24/7 sports, Bleacher Report, SI, Dodgers Nation. I do NFL radio for Westwood One as well. Today I am flying solo. We've got a jam-packed show. We are looking at 6 Rams backups that you need to be keeping your eye on. We're going to be talking about the injury report, some predictions, some keys to victory. We'll throw that out. But first, today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code all lowercase LOCKEDON to win $50 instantly when you play $5. So we have the news about who will be in the lineup, who will be in the game, who the active is going to be, who will be resting in the Rams' regular season finale against the Seahawks. Sean McVay said that Rob Havenstein will not be playing on Sunday. He has been dealing with a shoulder injury. He was ruled out with that shoulder injury, and really it's about getting rest and getting some treatment because he was banged up. They want to get him as close to 100% as they can for the Rams playoff game, which should be in the wild card round. It will be at home. We'll find out Sunday who that will be against. And Sean McVay did say that he is confident that Havenstein is going to be ready to go for the playoffs. So really, this was not a surprise. This is a no-brainer. He's a veteran. He is extremely important to this team's success. He's dealing with an injury, so no surprise there. Now, other injuries that are relevant, Jordan Whittington. So wide receiver Jordan Whittington, rookie out of Texas. He was limited in the first 2 days of practice due to an ankle injury, but he was a full participant on Friday and should be ready to roll for Sunday. Tutu Atwell missed Thursday's practice for personal reasons, but he was back on Friday, and he was a full participant. Sean McVay did not reveal what the reason was that he did miss practice on Thursday, but I think it's safe to assume that Tutu Atwell will be ready to go. The other starters that the Rams are resting for the Rams season finale is Puka Nacua, and Puka Nacua, very close to 1,000 yards receiving, has 990 yards, needs 10 yards for a 1,000-yard season. And yes, if you're a receiver, you want to hit 1K as a receiver. It's definitely a nice little milestone, but it only takes one play to get injured. And if you're going to rank the most important Rams, Puka Nacua is a number 1, but you could make the case that he is number 2. So I'm totally okay with this. I mean, even if you go out there, give him some snaps, it does not matter if you play more or less. It just takes one play to suffer an injury that could totally derail any chance that this Rams team has to make a deep run. So, yeah, it won't be one of your Puka shells on Sunday, but I'm for it. To me, this really is a signal that in just his second year, he is someone that is fully established in this league, and last year was not a fluke. He clearly is one of the best, most impactful receivers in the sport, and he's different too, right? I mean, he's not someone like Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson who's just going to stretch the field and make massive plays. He's a bruising type of wide receiver. He has an impact in the blocking game we've seen this year. The Rams use him on short routes and screen passes, so he plays a big physical style at that position, so even more of a reason to make sure that he's getting that rest because he's been carrying the load for this receiver receivers room for weeks now. So a no-brainer for me. Cooper Kupp, another no-brainer. We'll talk about him a little more during the week about getting his production up. But Cooper Kupp clearly needs a breather. The production has not been great of late for him. So I think the key to him is continuing to get his rest. I mean, last game, he had one catch for 29 yards, did have a 54.2 run blocking grade. So, I mean, you want to see him try to get as healthy as he can as far as getting rejuvenated, but because clearly the production has gone down. He has just 4 catches for 53 yards in his last 3 games. You're not seeing him get a ton of separation. And I know that a lot of Rams fans are struggling out there with Cooper Kupp not looking like Cooper Kupp from 2021, right? And that guy's not walking through this door, but I still think that he can help this team. I don't think that it's a situation where you're looking to bench Cooper Kupp at this point. I'm still very eager to see how he looks with a week off and playing in the playoffs and being someone who realized that, yeah, there's more yesterdays than tomorrows in his career. But I think that for someone like Kupp, that forces him to really play his best football at the end of the year. So I like him sitting. Kyren Williams also sitting. We know the value that he has to this team. He's the Rams' RB1. He's really one of the best running backs in the sport at this point. What he does for this team is invaluable. I don't know if you guys saw the soundbite that the Rams posted where he threw a nice block on a Cardinals lineman because he said, hey, no one gets to Matthew Stafford, and he's got his quarterback's back. So I love that tenacity and toughness, that dog mentality of Kyren Williams. Say, hey, ain't nobody getting to Matthew Stafford. No one touches his quarterback. So I love to see that. Kevin Dotson, the Rams right guard, he will not be in. Alaric Jackson, starting left tackle as well. And then, of course, as Sean McVay mentioned earlier in the week, Matthew Stafford as well will be resting, and it will be Jimmy Garoppolo under center. Now, who is starting at left tackle? Joe Noteboom. And then Jonah Jackson is starting at right guard. Sean McVay announced that Jackson out, Noteboom in, and that you look at Noteboom at left tackle and Jackson at right guard. It kind of makes you feel a certain type of way, remembering that, hey, this is the Rams' $17 million per year free agent that was supposed to have a big impact in Jonah Jackson, who was benched in the middle of the season. He's going to be starting in right guard in place of Kevin Dotson. So it just did not work out. And you look at, from Jimmy Garoppolo's standpoint, he has around 60% of the Rams starting offensive line that's going to be on the bench. So yeah, that's going to impact him. It's going to impact Blake Corum. But I think all in all, this 100% is the right decision. I think you look at that line, you're going to see Joe Noteboom, Steve Avila, Bo Limmer, Jonah Jackson, and Warren McClendon on the front. I think you'll see Avila out early, some D-ditch in there pretty quickly. McMahon could see some time at center as well. But at the end of the day, it's about playing and really showing what this Rams culture is all about. Whoever's in there is definitely going max effort, is trying to win the football game, is trying to do the right things and execute plays. But I think Steve Avila, a little bit of a tiny bit of a surprise, but still I think that it makes sense for him to continue to develop and feel good and confident with whatever action he gets heading into the playoffs. So those are the Rams that will be starting. Those are the Rams who will be sitting. The injury report really is promising. I want to see Jordan Whittington in there. I want to see Tutu Atwell in there. But coming up next, we are looking at 6 Rams backups that you need to be keeping your eyes on, because these guys could have an impact in the playoffs. They could have an impact next season. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. It's playoff time, Ramley, and if you're like me, you want to make the most of these final weeks of football action. That's where PrizePicks comes in. If you love football and you want a chance to win real money while watching the games, PrizePicks is the place for you. It's the best way to turn sports opinions into cash with daily fantasy player projections. With PrizePicks, you simply pick more or less on player stats like total passing yards or rushing touchdowns, and for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your money. You can make your picks in less than 60 seconds, and whether you're looking for a flex play to boost your payout or want to cash out quickly, PrizePicks has got you covered. And with over 10 million members and billions in winnings, it's clear that people are loving this platform. I've been playing for a while now, and I'm having a blast. This week, more or less 221 and a half passing yards for Michael Penix Jr. 0.5 rushing and receiving touchdowns for Jamar Chase. More or less than 74 and a half receiving yards for Malik Neighbors. There's so many options, so many ways to play, and it's just so easy to use. I love how fast the payouts are too. Seriously, I've gotten paid out in as little as 15 minutes when my picks hit. Plus the weekly promos like Taco Tuesday discounts, even more that add value to your lineups. Here's a special offer for Locked On NFL listeners. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's PrizePicks. Run your game. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What do you want your 2025 story to be? Every January brings a new chapter, 365 blank pages waiting for you to fill. If there's a part of your life you want to rewrite or a plot twist that you've been craving, why wait? Life isn't about fleeting resolutions. It's about taking control and becoming the author of your own story. Think of therapy as your personal editor, helping you craft the life you deserve. It's not just for crisis situations. Therapy can help you develop healthier coping strategies, improve your relationships, and empower you to be the best version of yourself. Whether you're facing a challenge or just looking for personal growth, therapy is a powerful tool to help guide your journey. Whether it's learning to set boundaries or tackling stress in new ways, therapy can help you develop skills for a better tomorrow. Even if you've never tried therapy, the benefits are clear. Finding someone to talk to and gaining fresh perspectives can make all the difference in how you navigate life's ups and downs. Write your story with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. And we are off and running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday and sometimes on the weekends. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also want to send a special shout out to those everyday listeners out there watching and listening to every single episode of Locked On Rams. That should be right at the top of your New Year's resolutions, that you're going to listen to or watch every single episode of Locked On Rams. That way you won't miss a thing about your favorite team. Also want to send a shout out. Was at the Rose Bowl, Ohio State, Oregon. Man, that was a trouncing by the Buckeyes. And met a couple of you guys. Waylon came up, introduced himself. He's a Buckeye fan. Met some Oregon fans that were Rams fans. So really cool to see you guys supporting the show, supporting the channel. You guys really make the show what it is, and really want to send you guys some love. But here in our second segment, we got the backups that you need to be keeping your eyes on Sunday. And the first one I want to talk about is Blake Corum. Blake Corum, I still believe, even though this is Kyren Williams' backfield, even though Kyren Williams is feeling good, running right, his Notre Dame Fighting Irish are in the semifinals against Penn State. I mean, things are looking up for Kyren Williams. Things are great for him, but Blake Corum was picked in the third round. They picked him, and he was a surprise pick for a lot of people, but the Rams saw talent in this kid. They think that he can be an impact running back, and he just hasn't got those opportunities that we had expected. He's averaging 3.5 yards per carry. He's never had more than 8 carries in a single game this season, but he has never gotten those consistent snaps. He's never got those touches. He's never found that rhythm that we saw him have at Michigan. And if you go watch any of his games at Michigan, he's someone that the more you gave him the rock, the better he ran. And you kept feeding him, he would eat, and he would give you that bowling ball style of running, especially in the red zone, that would have massive impacts. Tough to bring down with arm tackles. He's elusive. He's a big, strong guy. And you've seen some flashes. Unfortunately, those flashes have been derailed because of penalties. He had that 32-yard run that was called back because of that illegal shift penalty. He had a really nice 7-yard run last week that was brought back after a holding call. He looks like he's ready to make a statement, ready to pop, ready to show Rams fans, the Rams coaches, the front office, everyone who was involved in making that pick that they made the right choice because the talent is there. And I want to see him get 15 to 20 carries, something in that range, and see what he can do. Can we get a 100-yard game from Blake Corum? Because that, to me, would say, you know what? If you're going to be making a deep run in the playoffs, it's good to have depth. It's good to have different looks. As good as Kyren Williams is, if Blake Corum can make them have a difficult conversation, that's how you know he had a good game on Sunday. That's how you know he brought it. I want Blake Corum to make the Rams coaching staff feel like, hey, we can't keep this guy off the field. We need to give him some opportunities. And you saw when he did get those opportunities during the season that it even motivated Kyren Williams that much more. So competition's good for everything, and I definitely want to see what Blake Corum has against the Seattle defense. Now, second player I'm most excited to see, and this could have been number one, is cornerback Emmanuel Forbes. The Rams claimed him from the Commanders, and he still has not made his debut yet. He has not played a single snap with the Rams this season, and he was a first-round pick. He was a really trendy pick when he was coming out, and everyone talked about the ball skills, setting the record for pick sixes and the interceptions and the plays that he can make. Yes, he is on the thinner side. He's not a big, strong cornerback, but the ball skills, the talent level has been apparent with him. And the truth is, if you look at the Rams roster, you don't have a ton of cornerbacks. You don't have guys at that position that you can point to and say, oh, if we lose this guy, or we've got a pipeline of those guys that are coming up. No, they need the cornerbacks they have, and those guys need rest. Guys like Darius Williams, Kobe Durant, Ahkello Witherspoon. You need to play Emmanuel Forbes with those guys getting a reduced role, getting the rest that they're going to need. So Emmanuel Forbes, too, is not just about, oh, can he play in the playoffs or anything like that, is can we see if he could be something moving forward? Because if he is, that can change what they do in the draft, right? I mean, go back, watch his highlights when he was at Mississippi State. He does hold the FBS record, most career interceptions returned for a touchdown. 6 pick sixes. The talent is there. The talent is there. Just a matter of seeing him and seeing him in action. And yes, this is not the best situation because he doesn't have a ton of runway, but he was the 16th overall pick less than 2 years ago. So the talent clearly is evident. Just a matter of kind of unleashing him. So I want to see Emmanuel Forbes. And then how about wide receiver Xavier Smith? Xavier Smith has the potential to be explosive. He's only played 28 offensive snaps this season. Most of those came on special teams. You saw early in the year him make a big play on special teams when the Rams needed it the most, and that's what he can do for you. That's what he can do for this team is, hey, he provides that spark. He provides that spark when you need a play from a different area. I mean, his 37-yard punt return against the 49ers, that was huge in that one. And at that time, you're looking at a 49ers team that was still looking to hopefully win the division again and make a run. And it was a big play that he had to help the Rams win that one. And then Jordan Whittington. So Jordan Whittington is fascinating to me because the more I look at him, the more I look at Cooper Kupp, the more I think that the Rams are saying, hey, we love Cooper Kupp. He's a Rams legend. If for whatever reason after this season he's not a Ram or anything like that, Jordan Whittington is someone that can, not putting the pressure of Pete Kupp, because those are pretty much impossible shoes to fill, but someone that definitely plays that position like the Rams like them to play that position. And he's played in 14 games this year, but he's mainly been a blocker, especially since week 7. And when Puka was out, when Cooper Kupp was out, you saw him make some plays. He had 13 catches for 151 yards combined in 2 games, the Bears and the Packers combined. And it was clear, sure hands, strong, good blocker, good route runner, someone that can put his head down and get those extra yards after the catch. But since week 5, you're just not seeing a lot of opportunities. Last week, he had a catch. That was his first catch since week 5. And he's only been targeted just once in his last 9 games. So Jordan Whittington, he's going to have an opportunity if he's in there to be Jimmy Garoppolo's biggest target potentially. So I think for Whittington, it's not just what he can be in the future, but if Kupp struggles early in the playoffs and the Rams find a way to win, can he help you down the line this season? I think there's still a world where Jordan Whittington can help this team this year. So it's going to be an important game for him to show the coaches and show the staff that he's someone they could trust in bigger spots where he has a more prominent role. Then how about linebacker Brennan Jackson? So not a lot of talk about Brennan Jackson this season. The Rams picked him up in the 5th round. And the true reason behind that is the Rams really just go with those 3 edge rushers. They Hoyt, Verse, Young. I mean, you're not seeing them really go deep into the well at that position. But on Sunday, he's going to get a chance to rush the quarterback. He's going to get a chance to see what he can do to defend the run game. And sure, this is not someone who, based on what he does Sunday, could see himself step into a bigger role in the playoffs, but still moving forward, it'll be a good evaluation tool to see what he is for 2025. And then you got to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo. So seeing Jimmy Garoppolo in Rams gear and a Rams uniform still is going to take some getting used to, but Jimmy Garoppolo, for as good as he's been, for the struggles that he's had, there's just some type of juice behind him. It's tough to describe, and he's one of the biggest reasons why I just feel like the Rams have a pretty decent shot, even though being a 7-point home dog, according to FanDuel, that they have a chance to win this game because he's a veteran, because he knows how to execute an offense. And I think it comes down to me really believing in some of the Rams playmakers, guys like Jordan Whittington and Tutu Atwell, guys like that, getting those opportunities, and Blake Corum on the running side too. So I really feel like watching a team that has struggled to put competent backups in the picture for years, to have someone like a Jimmy Garoppolo that thankfully find every piece of wood in your house, cross every finger, cross every toe, that we don't have to see him after this week, right? But just to have that security blanket all season long, it was definitely reassuring, especially after we lived through the Brett Rippon game against the Packers. If you're watching this, you survived the Brett Rippon era with the Los Angeles Rams. So to have a true quality backup, I think it really puts you in a good spot in this one. Because remember, you win this game, you hold on to that 3 seed, and you match up with a team like the Commanders at home, where it's a younger team, a team that's not going to have a fan base that's going to overpower SoFi Stadium like a team like the Packers possibly could, or even the Vikings. The Lions will have a better turnout. So I really have the Commanders as a team that, if you're the Rams, hey, give me Matthew Stafford over a uber young and talented Jaden Daniels. And I'd look, anytime you're going to face a team in the playoffs, it's going to be a good team, but I would much rather face the Commanders than those other 3, because you're probably going to face those guys at some point down the line if you win this game anyway. But coming up next, we got some more keys to this one and some more playoff scenarios. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. All right, let's talk about FanDuel. NFL fans, you can start this season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. If you get a hunch in the middle of the game and you think, now may not be a bad time to get in there, you can check out all the latest stats. You can view live play-by-play, and of course, There's so much more on the same page where you're placing your bet. So we're going to get you started at FanDuel with $200 in bonus bets that's guaranteed when you play your first $5 bet. Now, let me say that again. $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you play your first $5 bet. This weekend, the Rams, 7-point underdogs in the regular season finale against the Seahawks. The over-under is set at 38.5 points. The Rams are a plus 3,500 to win the Super Bowl. You're going to find all this and more over at FanDuel. You go to FanDuel.com and download the FanDuel app on your phone, and they're going to get you started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday and sometimes on the weekends. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Okay, so let's jump back into these playoff scenarios. So if the Rams lose to the Seahawks and they end up as the 4 seed, they will take on the loser of the Vikings and the Lions. The Lions and the Vikings are playing on Sunday Night Football. The winner gets the NFC 1 seed. The loser heads to Los Angeles to play the Rams. So both of those teams are teams that could make it and win the Super Bowl. The Rams also had success against both those teams. They beat the Vikings on Thursday Night Football. They went toe-to-toe with the Lions to open the season. Yes, that game went into overtime, and you didn't even have Puka Nacua for half that game, and the offensive line was banged up. The Lions are a different team now. The offense definitely does look unstoppable at times, and both those teams are extremely talented and would present a lot of problems as any quality opponent would. So, really, you want to try to get that 3 seed. The Commanders is the best possible matchup for the Rams. I know that Sean McVay does not care as far as playing his starters. I'm not saying he should have, but if the things break right and the football gods give the Rams the 3 seed, I like them winning a playoff game much more than I do against the Lions or the Vikings. I'm not saying they can't be the Lions or the Vikings, but as far as a longer run, it'd be nice to go against that Commanders team at home. And look, here's the thing. Even that Commanders team presents problems for the Rams. The Commanders, led by Jaden Daniels, Heisman Trophy winner out of LSU, ASU before that. He's already one of the best running quarterbacks in the National Football League this season. The Rams have allowed the 6th most yards per carry on scrambles this season. So that's just one example of why the Commanders could present a problem for the Rams, but that's a young Commanders team. The Commanders have yet to beat a team with a winning record on the road, so I trust Stafford in that one. I would trust McVay in that one, but nonetheless, I feel somehow, some way, like the Rams are going to get the win on Sunday. And I think the biggest key is lean into Chris Shula's bend but don't break style of defense. The last thing you want to do against a Seahawks team is give up explosive. Jackson Smith and Jigba had a career day early in the year against the Rams in the Rams overtime win against Seattle. You want to shorten this game. You want to limit those big plays, and you want to control the clock. You want to establish the run with Blake Corum. Then you want to be opportunistic through the air in situations where they can take advantage of. So I still think the Rams have a chance to win this game because the backups are there. The talent certainly is going to be skewed in the Seahawks' favor in this one. But still, I mean, whatever is in play for the Rams is, of course, so much bigger than the Seahawks that have been eliminated, right? They're in 1-2-3 Cancun mode. So how engaged are they going to be, right? I mean, of course, the NFL, you're going to get guys to play hard no matter what. But I think that the Rams, if you get a lead early and you go out there and get a nice start, that I still feel confident that this won't be a massive blowout. And if this is close, you got to like where this Rams team is this year as far as getting this win against this Seahawks team. And look, I'm just trying to will this, trying to manifest this. I have gone 5-1 in my last 6 games picking Rams games. So I got the Rams 21, the Rams 21, the Seahawks 20, 21-20. and the Rams take on the Commanders. So I'm trying to manifest it. Probably end up the Rams losing and taking on the Lions just because the NFL gods want to see that matchup again. But hey, let's try to focus. Let's try to get this dub. And either way, just want to say this has been a great regular season. It's been a great ride, and it's just getting started. A lot of football left for your Los Angeles Rams. But that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. And until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.